Welcome to the Men of Character Mentor Series. Before we get started by introducing Kevin, I'd like to welcome any rising freshmen, which would be 8th graders coming into the school next year. So if you're in 8th grade and you took advantage of this opportunity, welcome, and welcome to the high school. Today we're going to be hearing from Kevin Carpenter, and I'll read his bio. Kevin is currently the Chief Financial Officer for the city of Minneapolis. And he was captain and quarterback of the Edina West football team in 1976. After high school, Kevin attended Dartmouth College. He graduated in 1981 with a degree in government and political science. Kevin played 2 years of college football there. After college, he spent a year working in a ski resort in Utah and 2 years working as a healthcare consultant in New York City. And then he attended Harvard Business School, where he got his MBA in 1986. As CFO for the city of Minneapolis, Kevin is responsible for all aspects of the financial operations and management of the city. He has an annual budget of $1.2 billion, and he leads 240 people. Recently, a significant portion of his time has been spent working with the mayor and the city council and other staff related to the potential future home of the Minnesota Vikings. In other words, he's working on the new stadium. So, Kevin, as a former Cougar, welcome to Skipper territory.
Thank you. I hope you all can hear me. If you need to speak up, just let me know. Really glad to be here. I am a resident of the city of Minnetonka, although we are in the Wayzata School District, so it's been probably 35 years since I've actually been inside this building, and I'm pleased to be here. What I thought I'd just spend a couple minutes on today is, and I want to acknowledge up front, I know it's been a tough week here at the high school for a lot of reasons, so appreciate your showing up this early to go through this kind of thing again. But what I'm thinking about this little talk is, what I think of it as is go all in with conditions. Let me explain a couple of different points I want to make there. There's really just four. As Dave said, back in 1976, I was the captain of the Edina West football team. But, except for the parents, most of you probably don't understand what the Lake Conference, because there was no Classic Lake Conference at that time, was like. We had blue and red divisions. There were high schools in the conference that no longer exist. Bloomington, Lincoln, Jefferson and Kennedy, yeah, Lincoln existed. Coach remembers some of this, right? Robbinsdale, Armstrong. And just that year, into the Lake Conference came Osseo, Park Center, Burnsville, somebody else, I'm sure. First year in the conference. We started out the year pretty well. Didn't play very well in our first couple games, but managed to win them. Then we had our first big test. We were going down to Burnsville, which from Edina was practically like going to Iowa, right? All of a sudden, we're confronted with this team that started the season really strong, had a couple of huge victories, and here come the cake eaters. They want to prove what the heck, that they belong in the Lake Conference, which at the time was the conference for football. So we go down there and we start sort of slow and get behind. Then we have a good second quarter. We're in halftime, basically, we're either down by 3 or tied. Second half, we just completely fall apart. A couple of guys play pretty well, but the rest of the team just falls apart. So we lose by 17, 20, something like this. It's on their home field. It's their first real matchup with one of the old powers from the Lake Conference. They're going bonkers. Whooping it up, yelling around. They're not in your face on it at that time, but so I'm walking off the field. I'm pretty dejected. Played hard, though I felt pretty good about my effort there, so I was exhausted and dejected, but, feeling okay on the effort. And I look around, and many of my teammates are laughing, happy, talking about can't wait to get back to school so they can go to the next party. And I'm going, something's wrong with this picture. Basically, I burst out crying, not because we lost, but I'm going all in with a bunch of people that apparently don't also want to go all in. So I committed to myself right then and there as captain. I was going to get them all to go all in, or we were going to swap out for kids who could. And an up and down next couple of games, swapped out some kids, got some juniors and actually a sophomore into the lineup. Went on a great run at the end of the year. We didn't have sections at that time, but we culminated it with a 30-0 whitewash of arch rival Edina East and left on a very important high note. So message number one from that little vignette, go all in, condition, A, make sure you care about it, and B, make sure you can take the steps to be the leader to get the others to care as much as you do. Second part, Dave mentioned I went to Dartmouth College, and I did not play football my first 2 years. I was worried, or my parents told me I should be worried about making sure I could get into the groove academically. I also clearly wanted to be free from significant commitments to enjoy the freedoms that come with college. If you wanted to link that to the fact that in New Hampshire at the time the drinking age was 18, that might not be a bad link to make, but the freedom was going to be very important to me, so I decided not to play football. Got into school, handled it reasonably well, joined a fraternity, worked hard, played hard, had a great first 2 years, but something just didn't feel right. And I couldn't really put my finger on it. I'm a fairly competitive person, but there's plenty of competition in lots of academic and athletic endeavors at a place like that. So I decided I was going to go out for football my junior year. Didn't play a lot, stuck with it. Senior year, switched positions, played a little more, in part because this was all pre-spread offense and anything like this, and we ran a 3-receiver set, which was somewhat innovative at the time. I got to be the 3rd receiver, so I got to play a little more. It was the 100th year of Dartmouth football. This is many, many years ago still. We had an expanded schedule. We traveled a little more, got to do some really interesting experiences with the team. Meaningful. I'm really glad I did it. But I realized later, more than just being part of the team, what that really added to my experience in college that hadn't happened before that was that up until I went out for the football team, most of my time was spent with people just like me, in reality. They may be from Denver or whatever, but they were similarly motivated academically and everything. The football team had kids, young adults, who were much different in their overall motivations and makeups. And the ability to partner with those people, relate to those people, travel with those people, just in effect hang out with those, moved my dial on sort of experiences much further than it would have had I not gone out for the football team and just hung out in the frat basement for the next 2 years. So go all in. Condition number 2, do it with people that are different than you. It's much richer over time. It's easy to do it with people who are like-minded. After college, as Dave said, I went to Utah and worked at a ski resort for a year. What Dave didn't say is that he also did that with me. And we went with another buddy who many of you probably know, Dave Dorn. Dorn went with us. I worked on a ski mountain. Dave and Dave worked in the ski rental shop. I hope none of you went skiing out there that year and had them do your bindings, because you know him probably better than I do now, but I wouldn't want him touching my bindings before I went to a ski house. But then after that, bounced around. I went to New York, worked as a while, went to business school, back to New York, where my first job out of business school, I worked as what's called a public finance investment banker, which means for government entities, hospitals, and projects, you help raise money to build big projects. So I'm right out of business school. I'm flying all over the country. We're doing these big deals, millions and hundreds of millions of dollars. I'm armed with educational credentials that I'm really proud of and look really great on paper, and were very meaningful. I don't want to denigrate them. Making really good money. Meet my now wife then. We move back to Minneapolis. I go to a smaller firm here rather than national. Firm does well. I move up the ranks. Firm's doing so well, we get bought by a big bank, RBC. I worked at Dane Rauscher for years. RBC, in my division, starts to reorganize what we're doing so that headquarters for the division I was in was going to, in effect, move towards Toronto or London or New York. I didn't want to do that. Wasn't in the cards to move. So I decided, I got an offer to take a buyout package. In effect, I did. Thinking, this is awesome. Had a great run in all these different careers. I've got this wonderful educational background. I've been really successful, measured in a lot of ways. I take the buyout right as the financial crisis starts. I can't get a job. I'm a Harvard MBA, Dartmouth undergrad, Edina grad, captains, and I can't get a job. So eventually I hook up with a small little company that wants to grow like crazy. They need a CFO. I've got financial background. I go do that. Guy I work for, CEO and founder, turns out basically to be a con man. Company blows up. I'm the CFO of a company that's got regulators flying around it. Now I'm going to get a job? It's hard. So that works out okay. I keep my character and my actions through this little blow up of this company fine. Eventually, I connect back to people I knew from my deal days at the city, leads to me going to work at the city, leads to me becoming the CFO of the city, and away we go. Go all in. Condition number 3, don't ever think you're bigger than the system or bigger than the game. And don't ever think it can't happen to you. Last part, more about my son than me specifically. I have 2 children. My son graduated from Breck and is now a freshman at Trinity College in Hartford, Connecticut. My daughter's a junior at Blake. Trinity College for my son is a great place, academically and athletically. He's a tennis player and playing tennis for Trinity as a freshman. Anybody in this room know anything about what makes Trinity College, little Trinity College, part of the NESCAC, special and unique in NCAA athletic annals? Trinity College is a D3 school except for one sport in which they are D1, squash. Not a big sport, obviously, but there's 60, 70, 80 D1 squash programs, I guess. Going into this season, Trinity College squash team had won 242 straight matches, 13 straight national championships. Mainly means beating Harvard and Yale and Princeton and some other smaller colleges out east. But Those streaks unparalleled in NCAA Division I athletic history. Connection to my son and me, squash coach is also the tennis coach. Squash is a winter sport. I did say going into this year, they had those streaks. Halfway through the year, the squash team at Trinity College this year was beaten by Yale. Got their streak to 250 straight matches over 13 and a half years, lost. Rebounded. Yale lost a different match. Trinity Squash came back, went into the national championships with the number 1 seed. Lost in the finals to Princeton. Both streaks ended this year. The national championship finals was just last Sunday. The coach on that Monday morning sent an email to the members of the tennis team. And let me just put a couple of, I don't know if I have to footnote this for bibliography purposes, so I don't get academically in trouble, but let me just read a couple things from this message from the Trinity squash coach, having just watched his team have their 13-year national championship streak broken. To our tennis team, I am so proud of you and our squash teams. Now it is time for you to go all in. For the last 13 years on this Monday, I woke up happy. Happy because our men had brought another national championship home to the college. Today, I woke up proud. I have never, ever been more proud to be at Trinity, to be a Bantam, which is their mascot, and of a group of young men. I'll skip some of this. So why would I be proud, you might ask? During the awards ceremony, both teams lined up to receive their awards and to congratulate each other. I looked into the eyes of every one of our guys, and there was not a dry eye in the house. The loss hurt them so deeply. The boys went all in. They completely exposed themselves, and as a result, they felt the full pain of defeat. That is living life to the fullest. Most people never take the chance to experience either the elation of defeat, or the elation of victory, or the devastating sting of defeat. This is the same coach of now my son on the tennis team. He also, about a year ago, wrote a book that he called Run to the Roar. Anybody know the fable of lions and antelopes? How do lions hunt antelopes? The old, infirm lion hides in the grass on one side of the herd, of the antelope. The young hunter lions go to the other side. Old, infirm lion roars. Antelope, fearing the roaring lion, goes this way, right into the hunter lions. Title of book, Run to the Roar. Face the fear. Go all in, condition 4. Run to the roar, into the fear, not away from it. Feel the sting of defeat to get the elation of victory. That's about all I have. I need to go fairly soon and go face my Lions, which sometimes wear purple helmets and sometimes wear political mayor kinds of suits and ties, but we are working diligently to face down our fears about the long-term financial commitment it might take the city of Minneapolis to get a stadium built and the Vikings to play in it. I'm happy to stick around for a while and answer any questions. I appreciate your giving me the opportunity to talk for a little bit, and good luck with everything. I really appreciate the opportunity. Thanks very much. Thank you.
Any questions for Kevin? He's open to questions on the stadium. He promised us he'd give us the inside scoop, so you can learn it here first, where we're really at today. Any questions?
Is there going to be a casino?
I would not bet that there would be, but there's a lot of moving parts still, a lot of things that still have to happen, and I wouldn't say never to anything. As Ziggy said just the other day, who knows? I don't think the casino will, so it's not in the current plan at least.
When do you think, Kevin, would be the soonest that you'll get the absolute decision that we're going ahead with the stadium? I mean, what would be your best guess, looking at the probabilities?
It's hard to do the probabilities. The two big wild cards in here, and they are, depending on the day, equal or one or the other is bigger. The Minneapolis City Council has a big role in this, and they are not all uniformly on board. And the state legislature has a huge role in this too, and they are all not uniformly on board. And different things we are doing to this whole Rubik's Cube bring some people on board, and some of them drop off board when you do that thing. So there's a lot of vote counting going on. The political climate in St. Paul with the redistricting and all the state legislatures up for election this fall there's a lot of momentum or a lot of reasons that many people won't want to do anything because they don't want to take a vote before they have to get elected this year.
So you're saying that the vote...
There's a reasonable chance that nothing happens
Okay.
during this legislative session. We need the legislature to pass some laws to make this happen at all. So whether that's 70-30 or 30-70, I don't know, but it's highly possible that nothing gets done until next year.
Were you in your capacity when the Twin Stadium...
No, I was not. Important differences there. The Twin Stadium got done. One of the things that has changed, just if you're interested, part of the reason this is so hard on this round is not only is it bigger, there's just an absolute desire at the state level that there basically be no new tax revenue. Twin Stadium at its essence got done because the legislature passed the Hennepin County extra 0.15% sales tax. If that kind of an approach would have been an option this time around with the Vikings, whether it was Arden Hills or Minneapolis, this would have been very easy. Or not very easy, but a lot easier. So.
You feel Ziggy's putting in enough money?
It's all a negotiation. As I've said many times to the city council, we aren't setting the rules of the game in some sense. The nation does. And yes, different places were able to get new stadiums or facilities built with larger private contributions than are likely to come, in this case, from the Vikings. There's also situations where the team has put in less. So, that's the macro factor that we're operating in. Philosophically, do I think it's government's job to pony up at this level? If I had my choice, I wouldn't do it, but it is part, I believe, of a broader, setting aside the economic development discussions around stadiums. Stadiums, art organizations, big corporate headquarters are part of what defines a place. And what do you want your place to be? If you want a place that looks more like Minneapolis and St. Paul than Omaha, not that there's anything wrong with Omaha, what goes with that place is bigger arts organizations. They're doing a remodeling of Orchestra Hall. Public facilities for multiple purpose uses are part of what makes that a place. And the rules of that game, largely, nationally, include the public contributing to those endeavors. Would it be a lot easier if Ziggy wrote $1 billion check? Sure. And he could, which is what's really frustrating. Really frustrating. You know, philosophically, it's hard, but
Why Trinity College? That's a little interesting footnote to me that, your son goes to Trinity. It's a fine school.
yes.
And I'm amazed that he didn't want to go into Dartmouth, or was that because Dad went there?
Dad and Grandpa went there, so that may have for sure put it out of the question. At the end of the day, I think the key turned out to be this coach, if you really want to know the truth. He connected with this coach in a way that he didn't connect with all other coaches that he was interested in talking to, because they had schools that had both academics and tennis programs that were of interest and of his caliber. As our first, it was a very hard process to let that unfold however he wanted it to. But as I read emails like the one I got from the coach, it couldn't have been a better choice in the world. And a really, really important, rational choice for him to base it on this relationship that he felt he could develop with the coach and has developed with the coach. So I think that was the tipper at the end. Okay? Thank you again. Have a great day. I do want to acknowledge again what a tough week I understand it's been here. So thank you for pushing through, going all in with conditions. All right? Thanks a lot.